and LGBTQ initiatives. My name is Ashley Andrea Tofu, and I am the multicultural and LGBTQ intern for the center. If you don't know the person sitting next to you, take a moment to say hello. Give it like 30 seconds. Okay, you can like talk to those friends later. That's over. We want to begin by recognizing that we are on occupied land. This is Haudenosaunee land. This Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. at La Casa, 49 Broad Street, Lasso presents poet and writer Elizabeth Acevedo, so you should come through for that. Thursday at 4:15 in Love Auditorium, there'll be a lecture called Cultivating Sexual Respect on Campus with Laura Dunn, the founder and CEO of Serve Justice. Thursday at 6:30 in Love Auditorium, Source presents Africana Women's Week keynote Diana Guerrero, so you should come through for that. Next week's Brown Bag is sponsored by ALST Dr. Salista will present Wailing Black Women on TV, representing and disrupting death and grief narratives. If you need to leave during the presentation, because some of you have classes, please do so quietly and ask them not to disturb the presentation. I know there's like a lot of people here, but just sort of like make a quiet exit. Remember to clean up after yourself. This is very important. Please discard your trash and all your food in the bins back there. And they have like labels on them, so you know like what's trash and like what's compostable. If you can stay and help put away chairs at the end, that's also would be really nice. We'll bring out a rack. And then like you just like watch the interns do it. It's pretty easy. Today's round bag is called Sisterhood, Sororities, Feminism, and Disaffiliation. The panelists will introduce themselves, so give them a big round of applause.
Sorry, real quick. So real quick, I don't know that this one's working, but we will have, because there's so many people, we have 3 interns. Can you raise your hands if you're an intern passing around note cards? They'll have index cards. They'll be walking around with them if you have a question to write it down and give it to them. And we're going to try to, make sure that we get to as many questions as possible. We also have, the panel has come up with a lot of their own questions, so we will try to get through all of that. But we'll get started. You guys can introduce yourselves.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming today. And my name is Renee Xu. I'm currently a senior. I'm a psych and theater double major. And once upon a time I was affiliated with Tried Out, and I'm not anymore. So yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Hi everyone, my name is Sally Langan. I'm a senior. I'm a sociology major, and also once upon a time I was affiliated with Gamma Phi Beta and no longer.
Hi guys, I'm Maya Shrivastava. I'm a senior. I'm a double major in women's studies and bio, and I'm currently affiliated with Kappa Kappa Gamma.
Hi everyone, my name is Larissa Grijalva. I'm a senior. I'm an educational studies major, and I am a member of Kappa Kappa Gamma.
Thank you. Can you tell us why you decided to join a sorority, and why did you stay or disaffiliate, and where are you now?
So, well, first of all, I'm Chinese. I was born and raised in China till I was 18, and I came here for college, didn't visit any campuses, and I just chose COVID. And of course, Greek life is not a thing in China, and I didn't really know about it. And after I came here, I realized it's like a huge trend or even an obsession for lots of people, and I was just curious about it. So I want to know what's all the fuss about. And I rushed with a group of my friends who just really want to try it out. That's how I got into Greek life in the first place. Why did I stay? Why did I disaffiliate? Because I could give you a lengthy reason, but the biggest one is I feel less and less like myself. I feel I'm kind of drifting away from the ideal self I'm trying to be because of the group mentality, because of the things that people try to pursue as a collective entity, and because a lot of the regulation and things that make you feel you're supposed to care about in Greek life. besides that, I'm not saying there's only flaws about Greek life. I did benefit a lot from it, and where am I now? I think I'm a happy senior doing my thesis and all that, and yeah, I think that's where I'm now, and I'm going to New York soon for my graduate school study, and
Okay, so I think in explaining why I joined a sorority, it's important to think about kind of my first year at Colgate, living in this like white bubble, conforming to the dominant culture of going to frats and kind of not seeing that much outside of that sphere. So like sophomore year coming back in the process of rushing, I never really thought twice about doing it because it was normalized in my friend group and a lot of people I knew were doing that. So that's why I joined. And I think the reason I disaffiliated, basically I like developed these two sides of myself. So I would like declare my sociology major and have like critical conversations about inequalities in the world and at Colgate. And then I would go back to my sorority and go to a mixer and kind of ignore like my complacency in that. And it became exhausting and like to recognize that I had so much privilege to do that, but also to turn it off and like I felt guilty and like alone and sad. And I started to only like talk to a few of my friends who like felt the same way. So that it became very like I had two identities, I guess. So over winter break of my sophomore year, I thought a lot about it. And then at the end of my sophomore year, after kind of like getting over this hump of the idea that like disaffiliation isn't really possible, I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, like I can't change that, you know, I'm already part of it, or like that would be too awkward, or like I would lose all my friends. So I like got over that, and I think a lot of it had to do with like mentors in my life and people who were doing the same thing. And so, yeah, I disaffiliated, and then now I guess at Colgate, I'm trying to navigate myself as someone who has a lot of friends in Greek life still, and like wanting to be able to like take ownership for what I've benefited from, and the fact that I still do attend like frat parties sometimes, and the privileges that I have on campus, but also knowing that as a white person with a lot of white friends in Greek life, I have like an obligation to like take ownership for that and then work in my white community. So I think that's been hard, and I'm still working through that, but that's where I'm now.
So I guess when I first came into Colgate, I wasn't really that interested in joining Greek life, and I tried it out because, like you said, it was part of what everyone was doing socially, and it was normalized. And so I met one specific woman I really loved during Rush, and she was sort of the catalyst for why I joined and really started to enjoy meeting new people. And I really had fun getting to know her and a few other core people within the sorority. And then, but she was also a woman of color who was pretty distanced from the sorority, and I think that's where I'm at now, and she was a senior. And so I think after that primary experience of getting to know her and a few other people who had started the same priorities and interests that I did, she graduated, and I came to realize how so many parts of the culture within the sorority were kind of toxic, and sort of I didn't feel comfortable in a lot of areas of it. I mean, it was, I think it's fair to say there's a lot of parts of it that are very homogenous, and there's a lot of priorities that aren't, that I didn't necessarily fit with. And I didn't, I'll be honest, and I was very complacent about those issues my sophomore year. I really didn't stray outside my zone of comfort. I stayed with the people that I knew. And then when that, a few women that I was really close with graduated, I started to sense my own discomfort and also my complacency. So I think about a year in, I started to try and make more change by having more conversations and sort of talking more about privilege and intersectionality and issues within the house and within the spaces that were never talked about. And I think I stayed because I do still have a core group of a few people who really have been supportive and have been the people that I have had these conversations with for the last 3 years, and I felt been able to help me change some attitudes and some mindsets within our friend group, but at the same time, they were the people that also felt uncomfortable in that institution, and people that considered disaffiliating or felt maybe I made the wrong choice. So I think I, at this point, recognized that I was very complacent the beginning of my experience with Greek life, and then now have tried to have more conversations and try to make change in attitudes and mindsets, but that's not going to change the institution of it. So I'm struggling with that, I guess, at this point in the experience.
So going off of what everyone said, I joined just because it was the thing to do. Almost all of my friends were going through recruitment, and I did meet a few older women who I looked up to, and I just did it, even though I was warned by my father to not do it. And so sophomore year, I was kind of like, I was unhappy, but I was very lost. I just didn't even know disaffiliation was a thing. And then I grew this I can change it from the inside mentality, and tried to do things, and became or I think I became that spokesperson within my organization. But then I think the past few years I've been really struggling, and I think, to be honest, the only reason I haven't disaffiliated is because I live in a house and I'm on the meal plan, and that's just would be really annoying. I know that's really annoying to say and hypocritical, but I don't know why I'm still affiliated, because especially post-election, the climate around my organization has just not been, I haven't felt supported and I haven't felt comfortable, and so now I think of it, but I'm also thinking about how women of color are constantly being pushed out of so many spaces on this campus, and I hate thinking about it that way, but I think why should I be the one to leave?
So our next question is, how does Greek life amplify white and class privilege? How does Greek life amplify white and class privileges, considering the cost of dues and also the benefits that you might receive beyond Colgate as being part of a sorority?
I would say, I guess the problem that I've had is that everything about the system allows people with privilege to continue through their experience here in their own spheres of comfort. In particular, it's a lot of white women who are, I don't know, middle to upper class and come from an aspect of privilege or a lifestyle of privilege and never are forced to have conversations of issues outside of their own interests. And so I think going into Greek life institutions, they are never challenged to move outside of those spheres of comfort. They stay within those spaces, and that's something that I've tried to understand better and try to help change because I live in the house also, and try to change within the house, but that's not something that can really change. I think that I or any individual can change because it's so pervasive, and it's of the little change I think that has been made, it's a lot of it is done by women of color, and that's not something, and they're perceived differently because they're the ones speaking out, and I think that's an issue of, I don't know, it's a big issue of trying to figure out how we have everyone trying to take more responsibility for their own privilege and what they're doing within the institutions.
Yeah, I think it's also important to acknowledge not only within the organization, but at the start of it and joining, it's only available to certain identities, and sororities are compromised with predominantly white, wealthy women, and their dues and expenses and certain norms about what you wear and what you look like, and those all exclude a lot of identities. So in that sense, I think that white and class privileges are like definitely amplified.
Where to start talking about number? For example, Treadle. I know there are Treadle people over here. Doesn't mean I don't love you guys. But for example, the first, like when you got accepted and you decided to go, they're gonna charge you almost $1,000, like 900 for meal plan, and which is mandatory. I don't think people who set up that rule were mindful of different students with different socioeconomic background. Maybe not everybody can pay for it. Like I'm very lucky, even if I'm not white, I still know I'm privileged. I don't have student loan. I don't have scholarship. My parents pay for everything. If I still want to stay in it and pay for the fee that Tridel asked me to, I probably could. But not everybody has that privilege, and it's just automatically excluded a large number of people, and they cannot join their organization, which bring down the diversity of the group. And even if I could pay for it, I just at some point I don't feel it worth the money or the investment. Like I could use that for traveling to go to more places, meet more people, and do other great things instead of just pay like $900 for a meal plan for a year. And I was a sophomore. I live up the hill. It's really hard for me to get onto the house. And also, I'm an international student. I don't have my car here. I can't really just drive around and all that. I feel lots of regulation within the Greek system are not very considerate of people who are not white, who are not privileged, and who are not citizen of America. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just one of the main problems. I know so many women who just didn't even think of going through recruitment because it's not possible. And I know my organization, to be specific, like prides itself on like having these 2 new scholarships that were founded or whatever, but 2 scholarships aren't going to do anything. And it's just like the whole, like the institution itself that is, I guess, like Kappa headquarters is what is doing this. And I think I've emailed Kappa headquarters asking them their like stance on like financial, like people can't join because they can't pay for it and they have money back. But but I think it's just like a thing that's gonna happen. Like that's what it's meant to do. It's like a group to like bring together women who are all the same, and that's why this mentality is just like it keeps going. I don't know if there would be a solution for it. Maybe like encouraging everyone to go through recruitment and accepting everyone no matter like what, and like just having people not pay dues. Because like what would happen? Like, there's no consequence on it. Or maybe there is a consequence on it.
I was just thinking the original purpose of starting Greek life system, maybe back in the days, hundreds of years ago, it was meant to establish a social club for people who are wealthy, who are white, who are similar, in order to maintain that kind of social status, hierarchy, and circle, and then maybe they get jobs and like work together after college. And it was meant for that, like a long time ago, but it's 2017, guys, and we're all talking about diversity and intersectionality and all that every day, but it's not enough. Like, I think we need to make a change. It's not enough to just recognize there's a problem, and we don't have to stick to the original purpose or the rule of establishing sororities and Greek life anymore. Yeah, that's just my point.
I think that's a great transition for our next topic, which is sororities across the nation are notorious for their cultural appropriation. After so many exploitative incidents nationwide and campus-wide, what do you think concretely has to happen for sororities to stop culturally appropriating? Consider your personal agency and also on a sorority and pen hall level and campus level.
So I have been very impacted by all of this that has happened the past year, especially because I am Mexican American and my family does celebrate Dia de los Muertos. And I think that's also the second reason why I have just kind of dropped, or my relationship to Kappa has just been very negative. Just because, again, I said it before, just didn't feel supported. I live in the house, I would hear people like talk about it and be like, I just don't get it, or like, what's the difference between that skull and like the Conocione skull? And like, those are valid questions, but you don't have to question it. Like, if someone is telling you something is wrong, then just pay attention. Especially like if someone who has a specific relationship to the calavera or the event. So I just didn't. It was very hard for me because I was still a part of Kappa, but like I just didn't know what to do. I was angry. I was tired. I just didn't want to talk about it because like no one was gonna understand anyway. And I don't know. It was, and like now it's just funny that people still don't understand what Kappa did. It's just so ridiculous that there are still women who are like just they don't care, or they just don't care. I don't know what to say. It's just really frustrating, and I think my role, what it was to educate at one point, and I tried really, really hard, and it like took all my energy, and now I just realized that you can't make someone care. It's impossible. If someone doesn't care like that, I'm not going to change anyone. If they don't care, they're just not going to care. That's fine.
Yeah, and I guess I would also say, so it was really frustrating for me too, and another part of why I felt I feel more distance this year from it. But again, acknowledging and apologizing for this is one thing, but understanding it and doing better is a completely different thing. And it's not okay what happened, and it's not okay that people still didn't understand, and members of my sorority still continue to wear the shirt or to post pictures or not understand that what was happening was not like what you're doing is not wearing a shirt to the gym. What you're doing is harming someone and being really just disrespectful. And it was obviously not my culture being appropriated, but it was still deeply upsetting to know people who just didn't understand but didn't want to understand. They didn't care enough to ask Larissa or ask someone else why what they were doing was considered wrong. And there's been talk about like cultural sensitivity training, and that hasn't happened yet. I mean, we're like, that's something that there's been a lot of talk, but not enough change. Sorry. Oh, it's next Wednesday, so that's good. That's good. But it should have happened immediately. You know, like there should have been something said and a lot more done, because there's a huge gap in education, I think, about issues of diversity and racial differences and cultural differences and things that just should not be issues at this point. So that was frustrating for me too.
Yeah, I think something that I think about in answering the second part of the question about kind of what you can do is this idea from my experience that Pan-Hell is like this mysterious, like all-knowing power, and you can't really do anything about it, or like, yeah, maybe I culturally appropriated, like I'll just apologize, but like nothing will actually change. Or I think in one of our meetings we talked about kind of like what's stopping Colgate from like standing up and saying like we were wrong and like going in front of all of Pan-Hell or whatever it is, like the whole national organization. So I think that reminds me of like this fear that a lot of people have of standing up for something that they like, that a lot of people don't agree with, and the fact that it does oftentimes fall on women of color to do that, and white women are kind of just like allowed to, they have the privilege of just being one of many white people in the sorority. So they're able to blend in and not do anything. So people kind of distance themselves, like they just don't want to deal with that because they have their own problems. So that's why I don't see a ton of change, and I think that's a problem. I also want to mention that I've talked to 10 white women this year about disaffiliating, and no one, I'm 0 for 10 on disaffiliation. So people are not, I think people are like thinking about it, but scared to like go through with it, which is unrelated to cultural appropriation, but interesting in terms of kind of one's agency.
Yeah, I think this is the hardest question because, as I said, I'm not a U.S. citizen. There are lots of things I got to learn after I came here. Like, China is not a diverse place, and I had to learn about different culture, how they blend in, how they conflict each other, why certain things, for example, wearing the shirt is harmful for certain ethnicity group or people from certain countries. And I feel I'm sitting here today not representing people that disaffiliated, not representing students from other country, and not standing at a higher point to educate other people about what Greek life is supposed to be like or how I want it to be built. Like, it's not like that. I think I'm a learner about cultural appropriation and lots of things, how to defend myself, how to have a better cultural exchange experience with people who are different from me. And I do want to encourage everybody sitting here today. Like, first of all, you came here today, that means you care. Second of all, I know like lots of liberal art college campuses are getting more and more sensitive, not in a bad way. People are becoming more aware, but do not afraid to ask questions and to reach out to people that are different from you. If there's a conflict, don't avoid it or escape from it. Try to solve it, even if it could be an awkward or painful process, but you learn from it. And that's how you know about other people's culture and how you stop cultural appropriation, in my opinion.
How do you personally feel about the recent SGA resolution to expand Greek life? Do you believe it is possible to change Greek life from the inside?
So this resolution was passed, and I don't know who SGA sent it to, but I got it. Who? Oh yeah, I don't know. So it first of all, like it was signed. The like main sponsors or whatever were all except one person were white men in fraternities. So like obviously they want more facts. And they used, I have it quoted. They used the word inclusive or inclusivity like 4 times. And Greek life, I'm just gonna like Greek life can never be inclusive, just ever. It's just not. Just don't use that word because it can't happen. They also use the word comfortable, and that's I don't know. And sorry, it's just like the opposite. They like quote things and like it's just the opposite of what Greek life represents. And they refer to a point written by the ACC about adding multicultural organizations. Like they talk about that one time. I don't know if the ACC like approved of, like I don't know. But you can't just like throw in the word inclusive or diversity to like make I don't know. To like make something seem like it's a good thing. Like adding another frat or sorority is just it's not gonna help our campus. And I think the only reason that adding multicultural organizations was added into that resolution was so that it seems like we're being inclusive, but I feel like the people who signed that resolution signed it for a very specific goal, and it's not to bring multicultural organizations to campus.
I think on the second part of the question, just about is it possible to change Greek life from the inside? I don't think so. On an institute like being like the whole idea of changing it from within, I don't think that's possible on an institutional systemic level. I think that as an individual, you can change attitudes and interpersonal dynamics and educate groups of individual women within sororities at least, but I don't think that on a systemic level it can be altered. And so again, I don't think adding Greek life here is beneficial. I think it's deeply harmful. But I think I just don't think that that is possible, and it wouldn't be beneficial to this campus.
So having served on Senate for one semester, I can say that SGA is probably the most homogenous, like-minded group I have encountered on campus, and they have a lot of power. So I think that's pretty problematic. And I'm not surprised at all that this bill was passed, or whatever resolution. The president of our school is pro-Greek. That was the whole platform. So obviously that was a goal. And no, I don't think it's possible to change sororities from the inside. I honestly think that a lot of people, including myself for a while, use that as an excuse to benefit socially and still go to mixers and have their social life, but also say they care about social justice. But I personally do not think that's possible, and that's part of the reason why I left.
Yeah, I think the recent SGA resolution is just trying to avoid dealing with the real problem. Fundamentally, it's just trying to show you, hey, I heard you have a complaint. This is what we did, and hope you're happy about it, which we're probably not. And I think I agree with all of you. I don't think Greek life is a system that it can change from within, because people are so just wind up in their own mind. Like a group change you. I was taking Professor Kara Keating's class. It's called Psychology of Leadership. You all should take it. And we spent an entire class talking about how the similarity between cult and sororities/fraternities. It's the exact same process. They recruit you, they treat you really nicely, and they make you feel you're so welcome, and then they torture you, whether it's hazing or in other ways. They make you feel you're all of a sudden abandoned and you don't worth anything. It's like stripping down your identity. It's depersonalization. Like somehow that creates a misconception that you feel, oh, I've done so many bad things for those people, I must love them. I mean, I'm not saying you're gonna feel that way, but study proof that's how people might work a lot of time. And then you tell them all your secret, you share everything. That's how you create that kind of social bonds. Does that sound familiar? Like for hazing, sleep deprivation, alcohol, lots of things, just kind of mess up with your mind. And many of you can be sober after that, I feel. Just another interesting article I just read about. I feel maybe COVID can learn something from that. So at Harvard University, they had this Greek life system for men. It's called the Final Clubs. It's very, very old. Same thing here. Rich, white, privileged kids get in. Their dad will probably in it. Their son will probably be in it in the future. And they just changed the policy this year. For class of 2021, if you are enrolled in a single-sex social club, you are not allowed to take any leadership position on the whole campus. And you're ineligible for prestigious scholarship like Marshall and Rhodes Scholarship. I'm just thinking maybe we can keep that in mind of how the whole, other campuses in the US are doing, real work to change the situation instead of just talking about it or doing what our SGA just did. So maybe that's just like an indication we can think about, I think. Yeah.
Thinking about sororities and sisterhood, how do you personally define sisterhood? Is your definition of sisterhood achievable in a sorority? And how do trans women factor into your definition of sisterhood and the reality of sisterhood in sororities? And you also have all mentioned at some point in our conversations that there were senior women who you looked up to, so maybe speaking to that as well.
So I think Sisterhood to me is my little sister, my blood sister, not people that I meet within 1 year. And I don't think there is real sisterhood in a sorority, for me personally, in my experience. And trans women have been historically excluded from those spaces, and they continue to be excluded from sororities and not welcome. So I don't think it's a safe space for them, and that's problematic. And I think that I mentioned this before, but I felt supported among a few of my older friends who also disaffiliated with me, but there were some awkward tensions, and there still is a lot of awkwardness surrounding this idea of me not being part of the sisterhood anymore, and I feel like I'm not completely honest with a lot of my friends, even my closest friends, and the other 180 people that were in my organization. So to feel that lack of support, I guess, kind of proved to me that that wasn't really a real sisterhood.
Yeah, I would agree. Sisterhood is not a thing. It's, I mean, to me, it's a stereotype or a concept that encases basically white homogeneity in sororities. It's just groups of women of the same sort of background and privilege behaving and interacting with only each other, and calling that sisterhood and calling that a bond that is unique to them. But it's just people staying in their comfort zones. And I mean, likewise, I have 3 younger sisters, actual sisters, and that is very different. That is not what we think of as sisterhood here. And I agree with what you said. Just they're not spaces where I think that women who maybe identify outside of certain binaries would feel comfortable, where I don't think where trans women would feel comfortable, women with disabilities, just, I don't know, outside of that space of very homogenous, same identity, it's just not a comfortable place.
I agree. I was going to say my sister is my sister, and I know she'll always be there for me. And I don't know. It's just not yeah, me not feeling supported and me feeling uncomfortable in this sisterhood just deletes everything that a sorority is supposed to, or claims to be. And also I wanted to bring up, last year I hosted a Women of Color in Greek Life panel or talk kind of thing. And basically it was right before recruitment. It was meant to have conversations with women of color who are affiliated and who wanted to go through recruitment, and to have an honest conversation about what it is, the reality of it, what it actually is like being a person of color in a sorority. And at that point I had a little more hope, and I did think that this maybe not the idea of sisterhood, but I did think that there was a community to support women of color within Greek life. But now that I think about it, I think it was successful, and we did have really honest conversations, and people cried, and it was good. But I kind of regret doing that, because knowing now what I've been through in the past year, and my feelings, and all the things that happened and what I've been feeling, I just regret promoting this sisterhood to younger people who I actually really care about, and knowing that it's just not going to change. And I did have a few, maybe 2 or 3 older women in Kappa who I genuinely think are going to be good friends for the rest of my life, and who understand me and support me. But that's not enough. And I hope to be that person for a few younger women in Kappa, but to be realistic, we shouldn't be there. So, yeah.
Oh wow. Hashtag sister for life. Hashtag BFF. I can't. Well, I have no sister. I'm a single child. We have single child policy in China, so I have no real sisters. But surprise, surprise, I did find some sisterhood in China when I was there. Um, I don't think we're here today just to roast like the whole Greek system and just deny all the benefits that it could have brought us. When I was in it, I feel even if there's so many aspects I didn't like about it, I still met people that I would not normally meet outside of Tried Out, and they are great people. There are over 180 women. Some of them share similar interests with me and really care about me. For example, my big she would go to my show. I would support her art. I visited her in Europe, and she's coming this week to see Joe Biden. She's staying with me. We're still keeping contact after I disaffiliated. I actually asked for her advice, and she was very caring, and she supported me greatly. She wanted me to do what I love and what I feel comfortable with. Actually, our president, Tried president, when I was in Tried was here, and she was there when I disaffiliated. They showed great support for me. They listened to my reason, and yeah, they understood like my choice. But I was concerning that if I disaffiliate, whether I'm gonna lose my sisters. But it's not true. It's not true. If whether you're in or out of an organization will decide whether you can still be friends with someone or be sisters with someone, that means the friendship is not worthy enough. Like, it's not supposed to be like that. If you're like, I mean, try to all we're friends, I'm out, like, oh, F you, bye. Like, that's not real friendship, not even sisterhood, and that's not how I define sisterhood. It's supposed to be someone that genuinely care about you from the bottom of their heart, and they feel your pain, and they will be there whenever you need them. It's not just like, oh, we party together, we wear Lululemon together. It's not like that. Yeah, it's about that kind of real human connection, you know? It's like, it's for life. It is for life. Like, it is. Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention that there is a very superficial side of sisterhood, because if you're affiliated in a sorority after you graduate, there's this like network that you have. So you, like, if you want to get a job and like that person was in Kappa, then like you're probably more likely to get the job because you're sisters or whatever. So like it is a very like superficial concept.
Yeah, it's just important to acknowledge, I think, that despite the fact that like we're talking about all the issues with it, like we still benefit from parts of it here and after graduating. And that's not something that's like, I don't know, that's just not okay.
We're gonna get through a couple more questions, and I want to remind people that Nitika and Rachel and Fede are collecting those note cards if you have a question, and we'll make some time for that too. Around. So our question of authenticity. Each of you has stated at some point in your membership that you felt like you couldn't be yourselves. How does being a part of a sorority impede you from being agents of change? What have you done or are doing to regain that sense of personal agency and accountability?
Well, I think if you're in a Greek organization, you probably know that. At some point, you feel nobody's forcing you to do this. Absolutely no. But at some point, you feel you're obligated to look certain way, to act certain way, because there is a certain pattern of behaviors that people like, and somehow you falsely believe that's the goal and that's what you have to do in order to thrive on the social life here, in order to make friends, in order to establish yourself in this very hard social hierarchy at Colgate. But that's not true. And maybe you're not meant to be that person. And all of a sudden you feel, oh, I must not worthy enough. Like, I'm not a valuable person. Like, I'm not doing well. I don't fit here, or things like that. But like, people will tell you, oh, get over it. It's fine. Like, you're great. But very few of us would recognize that it's not our problem. we're perfect for being who we are. It's the system. They try to have like produce more like monolithic like kind of people, and do not ever feel obligated to obey that, even if I did at some point in my life here. And it was really hard for me to realize what was happening to me. And I think it happened to a lot of people when we went abroad for a semester. We see the real world and we interact with real people, not just like on a frat table, like bumping into each other, but like have real conversation in real life. And you suddenly just know that, oh, well, like it just started to become more like yourself and find what you're like and what you're not like and what you should do and what you're not supposed to do. I don't think I answered your question. I hope I did. Okay.
Yeah, so I think, and this question is kind of tough for me, but I think that putting Greek life aside, coming to Colgate in general, the way I have like navigated college and tried to like become an adult in myself has done a lot of damage, and like being here and kind of developing different parts of myself and trying to like figure that out has been hard. So I guess Greek life kind of allowed me to turn off all of the like critical of the world kind of ideas and just be really comfortable, and like that did a lot of damage to me, and like my whiteness in general has done a lot of damage and has like caused me not to be emotional and not to feel myself, and to kind of leave that organization but also like rebuild who I am and try to be honest and real and in conversations and really see people and see myself and like work on that has been really hard. But I also think that like to blame that system and to blame the entire structure of Colgate is problematic, because I had a lot to do with kind of navigating it the way I did and using my privilege to like benefit myself socially. So the fact that I was complacent for a long time and that I still am, that I still have a lot of white friends in Greek life, that I still like choose kind of to stop talking about this sometimes when I'm tired, and the fact that for like an entire year I was like still going to parties and benefiting from the system and wanting to like climb this social ladder and all those things is like really important, because a lot of people don't have that option, and I'm like critical of myself every day for that.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of parts of that, especially about what I said earlier about being complacent from my first sort of year in the sorority. I think that I stayed within spaces I was comfortable and just interacted with women I was comfortable with and didn't try to make any change or do anything outside of my own sphere of being, I don't know, just satisfied with where I was, and that wasn't. It took me a while to realize that that wasn't okay. And I think now, in terms of agency, I guess I've stayed after realizing how complacent I was, because there are a few women who I consider to be some of the best people I've ever met in those spaces and in my life I've met there, and their support and their friendship has helped me figure out ways to sort of implement my own feminism. But that's come from my mother, my grandmother, and from my sisters, not from being in the sorority. So I guess in terms of talking about agency and accountability, trying to implement my own feminism and have conversations with younger women and sort of create more understanding of the issues with the system has been what I've tried to do recently. But again, like what you've said about recognizing the privileges and the positionality of me still being a member is something that I still struggle with, I guess.
I think at first I did see myself kind of slipping away from not maybe just ignoring parts of my identity that I did care about, and like being into new things that are like that people in Kappa were into. So that was hard, but that was kind of like the beginning of it. And then once I realized what was happening, I kind of like took a step back, and that's when I realized like all the effed up shit that's happening within my organization. So then I tried to be that person who, like the change from the inside kind of person, and then I realized that didn't work. That wouldn't work. So now I think what I've been doing is I'd say that I tried to be myself 100% of the time, like without like no filter, no apologies, and I do know that that annoys some people, and it is sad to be known as like that one girl who's so sensitive, or that one girl who like cares too much about that, or like whatever. But that's what I've been trying to do, and I guess it's more of a personal, individual thing to like push back against my organization. And also, I guess though I'll never be able to be like authentically me until I am away from Kappa, because that's just like the nature of it. Because it is hard to be a woman of color, but also a woman who cares about things and basic human rights and social justice in Kappa. I lost my train of thought. So I guess it's hard because I am still affiliated, and I have benefited a lot from it. I've made a lot of friends. I think that's the only positive thing that's come out of Kappa. But it's really hard because I don't want to be affiliated, but I guess like going back to what I said in the beginning, something is stopping me, and I guess it's like a pride thing, or like I don't know, but it's been really hard to like hold myself accountable and be honest with myself about what I'm doing and like what I actually care about, and yeah, it's just really hard.
So we'll do one more of our questions, and then we'll take some from the index cards. So this question is: while sororities may not be directly responsible for the actions of fraternities, by the nature of their structural and social entanglement with Greek life as a whole, they tend to co-sign the actions of fraternities through compliance, assent, or non-dissent. How do you navigate, or do you navigate this? What do you think should be sororities' role in ending the many forms of violence that happen in all Greek organizations, such as rape, racial violence, and hazing?
First thing I want to talk about is the double standard. So I feel everybody at some point say things like, "Oh, don't like put me in a box." Like that's so stereotype of Kappa. That's typical Gamma Phi. That's like so tried out. Like lots of women in the organization will feel like uncomfortable or even disgusted by like a description like that. But at some point, you can admit that, like, I've done this, I'm pretty sure my close friends have done this, and sometimes I was surprised I would say this. We would do the same thing to guys in other Greek organization, or like, oh, you know, that, like, he's a beta, like, of course he does that, or, oh, that's such a Tash thing to do, and stuff like that. I know I emphasize a lot on the harm and disadvantage of the Greek system at COVID today, but I also want to stress on the power of our own will and agency. If you want to stop something, why don't you start working with yourself? Why don't you start like stereotyping people, stereotyping other people around you? I know it's hard because at some point when I was still affiliated with Tridel, I was thinking it's fine if there's lots of negative things going on in Greek life and people's perception about Tridel. I can be different, I can change it, and gradually we'll get bigger and people will change the way they see us. But that didn't really, it was a very frustrating process, and that's one of the reasons I was affiliated. But I just want to point out that sometimes when you criticize the system, you're also like doing the same thing you dislike. And I think it's important for us to recognize that and start changing from within.
I think sororities have a lot of power to change what's going on within like fraternities, but there aren't conversations about it, and like no one's doing anything. So to do that, you have to want to do it and like commit to it. So, and I don't think that's happened in the 4 years that I've been here. So I think women do have the power to change. I mean, it's easy. You can just be like, no, we're not going to your party because you did this, or until you do this, we're not gonna whatever. Like, I think it's easy to do that, but people are just not willing to. And I think it has to be like more than one person speaking up about it to be able to make even a small change.
And I would say personally, like there are certain spaces and frats that I don't go to because I know I have good friends who've been assaulted there, or they're just places that I consider toxic and I don't want to put myself in. But that in itself, being able to pick and choose where I go is a privilege, and it's a part of the privilege I have of being in this sorority. And I think in continuing to favor certain frats and like social schedules and allowing men to have power over social events and locations and spaces, it creates a really, I don't know, negative. It's more negative energy that could be going into exactly what you said, just like taking a stand against that culture. Yeah.
So we've tried with the index cards to kind of triage what really hasn't been asked yet, because we do realize we're kind of running out of time, and there were like there were over a dozen questions. So we're going to try to get through as many as we can, but if you want to stick around for 5 minutes after, you can. Here's some more questions, but we're trying to just get at what has been asked. So I apologize if your question doesn't get asked.
So the first question is, since we know that if one sorority disbands, then the entirety of Greek life would disband, what are the action steps to be taken in doing that? And is this a conversation you're having as in your social justice and in your spaces?
What?
Should I repeat the question?
I honestly didn't know that. So like if one actually, yeah, I guess that hasn't been talked about. I guess, I mean, I haven't heard anyone talk about that, but I guess that would be the first step. I mean, I think it's as easy as that. If like, but also, like men's organizations can be like punished, but then quickly, like whatever, they'll get their house back or whatever. But I think it would be easier for a sorority to be kicked out or whatever, and then I guess then the other two would. Yeah, so I guess it's easier in my opinion.
If you were to go back to sophomore year, knowing what you know now, would you go through the recruitment process?
Doesn't work.
Yes.
I think I'll still go through the recruitment process because I'm curious. Why not just try? But I probably wouldn't take the bait. But in the end, well, I just want to go through it. I want to see it because I want to see how superficial people could be. Like, if you have been through the process and you know how it works, like you go talk to people for like 2 seconds and they're like, hi, how are you? Good. How are you? Yeah. And then so like, what do you do on campus? Where are you from? Like, what do you like to do?
It's so interesting to just like watch them do that again. But I would have like more awareness of like how specific the conversation it is and how like that kind of relationship could be, and decide not to join in the end.
Yeah, I think about this a lot. I have to say no, I would not go through it. I don't think that I made too many friends through it. I had good friends freshman year that I still have, and I just wasn't overall a great experience. So I wish that I had like put myself in different spaces, like coming to Colgate at like my first year. I think I missed out on a lot, and if I had to redo my experience, I definitely would not rush.
I think some of the single most amazing women I've ever met have been through Kappa, which I've loved, but if I went back, I would not do it again because of just how many issues I have with the system, and with the institution itself. But I would definitely put myself in more spaces to make change and continue having conversations with those women that I've met, and also with other women getting to, have more dialogue about the issues with it.
No, I wouldn't. I think it's easy to say that though. But personally, for me and how damaged I've been by Kappa, I 100% would say no. But other people who do recognize all of these issues would still go through it, and I think that's the problem, that we're not decisive or critical enough.
There's just a second part to this question. It says, can we have all people who did not go through or dropped out of the recruitment process raise their hands? I want to show that not everyone does it. I think we should stop. All people who did not go through, thank you, or dropped out of the recruitment process, raise your hands. It says, I want to show that not everyone does it, and we should stop reinforcing that myth.
So this next question says, why is Greek life still at Colgate given what you all said about its downside? Will you take steps to dismantle it given your experience?
Why it still exists? Because we have a awesome board of trustee, I guess. and they kind of love it, and they say, let's keep it, yeah, and our kids are in it, or they're going to be in it, like in the old frat I was in, they're going to make great friends, yeah. Yeah, isn't that the reason? It is. Oh, is President Casey really pro-Greek life? I mean, if he's not, he can't get selected, right? But I know he wants to change the social climax here. I don't know whether it's gonna happen. So he thinks the Greek life is holding lots of social resources, and he thinks if he can elevate like the social resources of other organizations, it can balance out. I think that's a very good intention, but it doesn't solve the fundamental problem. Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I think to echo that, the board of trustees, or I guess alums who were in Greek life, donate money, and maybe that has something to do with it. And the fact that kind of in general, I think things that are normalized and things that have been going on forever are deemed like inevitable, and that people don't take steps, including myself, to change them. I mean, personally, I need to be doing more, and I want to be doing more. And if you want to come talk to me after this about that, I think I have spoken at a few meetings with like people I don't know about why I think that Greek life has like been damaging to me and other people that I know, but that's not enough. And so I do think that there could be some change, but then I'm reminded that I have 7 weeks left here, which is really problematic. So I'm like, whatever, I'll graduate. But I guess that's an honest answer as to why, or like what I'm doing, or what I should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still here because, like you said, so much of what we have on this campus is contributed by rich, white, male alums and is controlled by their choices and their decisions, especially with the fraternities. But yeah, I would say, like I said earlier, I think changing individual attitudes and mindsets is possible and altering, interpersonal um, conversations and sort of spaces can happen, but institutionally, I don't think that individual people can dismantle it. And I think it's important to keep working towards changing spaces, but I don't know how. Honestly, like I don't know how you would go about sort of trying to take apart the system that's so damaging without just trying to get rid of it completely.
I think what I'm doing to take it apart is I see a lot of first years here. Just don't rush. Just don't do it. You're so cool. Like I know all of you. You're awesome. You don't need Greek life. It's just I mean you've heard all of us talk about it. There are a lot of positives, but you don't need it. And it's not I don't know, I would just say just don't rush. I think that's the only way I can think of right now that we could just normalize not rushing.